and then it should be this guy right here. So these two tasks here are pretty much the beginning steps to us being able to start any project whatsoever. So we have to have the actual MVC project, which if we open this up, basically we need just the basic home page and the login form. The site needs to be able to run locally, and you need to be able to see the homepage and login form. Nothing really crazy there, but we are going to clone the identity project, which is one that I've mentioned in class, and I think a few of us have tried to mess with before. And this is actually wrong. We're not going to clone it. We are going to fork it, which I'm not sure we have actually done much forking in class, but the main difference between a clone and a fork is a clone wants to, when you check code back in, it wants to push it to the thing you cloned from, so like your code is tied to this other project now. And when you fork, you're basically saying, I want a copy of that project, but I don't want any hook to the original project whatsoever. I want to make my own thing. I just want to base it off of this thing. Now, once the initial person forks the project and we have a project, they will then check it into source control, and then we will clone it because we actually, when we make changes to the project, want those changes to go back where everyone can see them. So it's a little bit of a different maneuver than we've made in the past, but it is super easy. All this requires is a copy of Visual Studio, and that's pretty much it. Then we have the create database project. This is also, not sure why it says unsaved changes. It's a little scary. Save. Okay. Holy shit. But it's very similar. We need to essentially create a database, and it needs to contain the basic user login tables, which is also going to be super easy. This project that we fork is just going to hand us that shit. Then we need to run the MVC app locally and be able to register and log in as a user. So by the end of this task, not only do we have a login form, but we have a database that holds the information for people that want to be able to log in, and all that good stuff. So not only will we create the new local database, but we will migrate what's called identity tables, a way to identify our user. And we will migrate those tables to the database, and we will be able to actually log into our application. Now, the scope of this is just that. So you'll log in and you won't see nothing, but it will let you log in. And if you don't have the correct credentials, it won't. So very narrow scope on these. We want to color in the lines. But yes, this one, all it requires is you'll need a copy of Visual Studio to do the migrations, and you will need a copy of SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. And I believe I posted this earlier in Study Like a Pirate. So you would pop this bad boy open, and you got your SSMS download right there. But anyway, so those are the first two tasks. I would say this one has to be done first. We could create the database. We're not going to be able to run migrations until we actually have a MVC project. Do I have any volunteers?
I mean, I
That's
I can try now that I have things kind of loaded up. I assume I have enough.
Dude, a try is all, yeah, that's all I need, my man. That's good. Yeah.
I'm
Well,
looking to as well because I definitely will struggle on the database side because, as you guys figured out, the Mac side is very workaround.
yeah,
I'm also cool with
it's
hanging
odd.
on to the database if you want to grab the MVC.
Yeah,
Um,
whatever works.
yeah, either is cool. The main thing I would say for now, considering the rest of the class is PC, we probably want to try to keep it PC for now, because I'm assuming others that have other projects such as Fragment and Planter and Boxes of Foxes, all of you guys will benefit from this similar maneuver. But if we show it in Mac, it would kind of be the other way for them. They'd be like, where the hell is that button? But what I can do is this link where we're going to fork. I would try to follow along with the Mac side and see if you can fork just a fresh project with this, because I think you're going to really like Identity. And then if we can get a local database up and running for you, you'll be able to migrate those tables and the stuff will just work. So hopefully we can get that going. But yeah, Neebs, if you want to drive, why don't we give it a shot? So first thing I'm going to do is come in here, change members, set this to Neebs. Very good. So sir, you are, wow, it already pushed it to doing, or did you push that to doing? Did you do that? Are you doing stuff?
Yeah, I pushed it.
Okay, I was like, oh, I gotta stop drinking. All right, so cool. So we got the create MVC project. So why don't you kick up your screen share for me?
It looks like 13 is like my first website exercise. And
Here, I got it. All right. So this is the link right here. It is in Study Like a Pirate, and we scroll up the January 10th. All right. Click fork again.
Okay.
Click the little down arrow. Okay, there we go. All right. So our repository name, let's change that to the Dev 101 project.
Okay. Dev 101 project. Okay.
Yeah, Dev 101 project should be fine. And description, let's change that to I don't know, Dev 101 class web project.
Okay.
All right, let's see here. So cool. This should be the Dev 101 project. It was forked from there. So
And now, Sarah, we're
all right,
cloning.
Yep, we're gonna clone that.
All right.
And paste that there. And go ahead and hit clone.
Well, I guess.
Well, let's see what happens here. Install that module.
Okay.
Yep, install. So yeah, we just need to get the .NET 7 runtime, which makes sense. I would not imagine this would take long.
Hopefully not.
And so now you will hit that play button we were talking about, that little drop down, and you want to go to web browser and you want to set that to Chrome. Boom. Now hit play again. Let's see if this actually runs. Oh,
that's a lot faster.
That seems faster. Yeah. Do we
Yeah,
get
there
it?
we go. That's better.
And we got a Chrome. So yeah, I'm gonna strike that up to first time loading and Edge sucks.
Yeah.
But it was
Agreed.
also down there at the bottom. We could have maybe not seen it for a while, but yeah, that actually launched within a time frame I think we can live with. So you have not only forked the project into its own project that other people can clone from, you have cloned it yourself and ran it, verifying that that project actually runs. So you have completed the acceptance criteria for that first task. So why don't we go to the Trello board?
All right. Let's see. I believe I have that over here.
And drag that sucker to QA. Now, for me to actually QA that, I would then need to clone the project. So in that MVC project, in the in the task for create MVC project in Trello, I want you to add that clone URL, the same one that you cloned from. So you'll open the task. So just click on the task. There we go. And then in activity, yeah, you'll just paste that in there. Boom. And so now anybody else that needs to clone the project, that is where it lives. And as soon as at least one of us verifies that, we can say, hey, that lives in prod now. And we got that bad boy done. So awesome work. Since we're on a roll, why don't you take the create database task as well?
All right.
So we'll throw you on that bad boy, change members, and then save it. Excellent. All right, and then pop that bad boy open. We'll take a quick look at it.
All right. So.
All right, so we need a database with basic user login tables. And basically, the acceptance criteria here, which is about the only thing we care about as code monkeys, is that we need to create a new local database, and then we need to migrate these identity tables to the database. And what's cool is those things already exist. So let's go take a look at that. Open up Visual Studio. And then you'll notice on the right-hand side under auth system, which is current name of our project, we might change that at some point. But it has a folder that says migrations.
Okay.
Now, anytime we want to push table structure to the database that we've created via models in our MVC project, we do that via a migration. And they have already created this initial migration, and it contains all of the tables that we need for a person to log in and log out of the application. So all we really need to do is point this at a database and say, this is the database we're using. And then we run a simple migration command, and it will basically create those tables for us, and we'll be able to start using them and actually logging into the application. So why don't we give that a shot? So
Right. So let's go. Express.
just close out of whatever just popped up. And then, yeah, Express. There we go. Download now.
It'll also definitely be easier that we have the video too, because then I can always like look back on it and that'll probably help out a whole lot.
So yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
so everybody will have to create their own local database unless we make a like a public database, which I totally can. But we'd need to publish it somewhere. But long story short, once we have these migration files, you can spin up an empty database on your local machine and then just run all these migration files, and it'll generate a completely new database that has all the tables it's supposed to have, and all that stuff. And the only thing that won't be in sync between your database and say somebody else's local database would be data that you've added. So let's say you made 2 or 3 test users on your local database. On my local database, I wouldn't see those users because they only exist, the data only exists on your local database. However, if you make a change and say you create a whole new table, and you add that migration and check it in. When I see that migration, I can run it, and now I have that table in my local database. And that's how we kind of each have our own separate databases, but we keep them in sync with each other. And that's the difference between schema, which is the structure of the tables. How many columns does it have? What are their names? What are their types? And the values or the data side of it. What is contained within those tables? How many rows? How many members? How many patients if you're a hospital? Go
So
ahead.
this would technically work for like if you're like creating a website and you're trying to share it with like your team or whatever, and they're like creating one with you. Could you like because it's lines of code and whatnot, so you could technically share that with them through this database, couldn't you?
So you could, but really, when we're talking about the code, we use source control. We use Git. If
Like,
you have
okay,
code that you want to share with somebody, like you and a buddy or 1,000 buddies want to all work on the same project, and when you make a change, you want everybody to see it. The number one source control, which is what they call that is Git.
GitHub, yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we use SQL Server again for? Sorry.
So
Like,
the server, and it is definitely a little confusing, but the server is what holds databases. And so we can load this server up on any computer, any actual server, like a big old server or anything. And as long as it has a static IP address, then we can ping it and authenticate with it and then get access to databases. And so think of the server as the highest level container. And inside that server, as long as I can authenticate with it, because it's going to make sure I'm who I am and I have the correct passwords and all that shit. But assuming I get through the server authentication container, then I'm actually looking at databases, and I can have more than one of those. For our purposes, we will have a single database. It will be named Dev 101 database or some shit like that. And then it will contain many tables, like our user tables and our members tables and whatever else we decide to make.
I might sound a little dumb, but that database is basically like, is it just to keep track of like our users, members, and things like that, or what? I'm sorry that like I don't know if I'm explaining that
No.
question.
It's an excellent question. By the way, Neebs, yeah, go ahead and install that. I think we're gravy there.
Okay.
So that connection string is what we're going to need in Visual Studio to hook the project to the database. It uses that connection string as a way of saying, whenever I try to save something, this is where I should save it. And to get back to your question, Maria, so the database is all about what we call persistence. So if there was a website with no persistence, then you could fill out a form and you could hit save, but it would never actually save. And you could type in your bio, and you could type in your name, or you could make a post on Facebook, but it would never persist. You might see it for a little while, but if you close that application and reopen it, all that shit would be gone. It has no persistence. It has no life
Kind of
to it.
That's kind of when you get like your profile and your users and stuff, and that database is basically the container that's holding all of them, correct?
It is like a spreadsheet that holds lists of shit. And
Okay.
you got all kinds of shit.
Spreadsheet
You
that
got
holds a list of shit.
it really is, and you define the headers of the spreadsheet. That say this. We'll call this spreadsheet or this table the members table, and each member is going to have an ID, like member 1, member 2, and then it's going to have a member name, maybe a role, and so we would build the header of each of these sort of like columns, and then we would start to put each row would be an individual member, and
So
so now
I guess the question then is, why do we need this spreadsheet of list of shit of our list of shit?
so there's a
So
couple.
I've been thinking.
Go ahead.
Oh, Rob,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, I've been thinking of it like this. Like, so you have all the code, right? And the code sort of outlines the database and all the things that interacts with what the user does, right?
Right.
And so the user's input and their information that they put in, it interacts with the database and the code, and it allows certain things within the code to respond to what the user is doing.
Okay.
And that kind of like helps me sort of correlate like the database versus the actual code, right? The same thing with like, yeah, the database and the code. Like, sure, if you share the database and the code, the other stuff, the user input and the things that interact with the code are going to be different on
So
each like local database.
so the code is basically the interaction and you know your back basically your background, everything that you make to, and then your database is just saving all of that inputted information.
Pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah. It holds it. It holds the stuff that we put into it, and it interacts with the stuff we put into it. The stuff we
Okay.
put into it isn't necessarily the code. It's just the stuff we put there.
Okay. Okay.
So for instance, and I like working with examples because it helps me. This is my audio royalty database. I don't know if can you guys still see my screen share?
I have to go back over to it, but yeah.
Well, I'm gonna steal it for a second. So you guys come back over to mine. Nebels will be right back with you. But
Okay.
if we go to my audio royalty database, which is in my server that has this static IP address, which I'll probably need to blur out now that I think about it. Inside of it will be tables, and inside those tables I would have, and let's use posts as an example. So posts on my website audio royalty is very much like how posts on Facebook work. And when you were talking about what is a database used for, its number one use is saving shit that your user types. You'll have some sort of form. Maybe they upload an image, maybe they upload a song, maybe they write a post, maybe they sign up for you and they're a brand new user. Whatever the case is, when they type something in or they do something and you need to save it in some place, that is actually happening in a database. And when I come up here, if I right click on posts and I say select top 1,000 rows, it's going to go to that table and it's going to say, hey, has this guy made any posts? And we'll notice that I have 5 posts in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this one says 6 because I have deleted one in between 4 and 5 at some point. And so that it's one difference between row numbers and ID numbers. And we'll get to that later. But the important part is that that post may contain an image. It was posted at some sort of time. It probably has some text that goes with it. It is active or it is inactive, and it goes to some member in my members list. It relates some member made that post, and this is the ID of that member. And so anytime somebody gets on audio royalty and they're like, hey, I want to make a new post and I want to upload this image and I want to say, hey, this is my cool cat, and bam, and they hit save, my MVC side of things kind of wraps all that up, passes it to Entity Framework, and then Entity Framework creates one of these rows for me. And then the next time I pull up posts or somebody else pulls up posts on their side of audio royalty, they will see a new post from this member if they're subscribed. And that's very similar of how Facebook works. Of course, they got this whole other wild algorithm and they're trying to sell you shoes and shit in between that, but that's essentially how their algorithm works as well. They have to have a table somewhere. It may be way more complicated than mine. I almost assure you it is. But it would have an ID, probably a way to save an image, some time that it was posted, maybe not just the day, so this data actually looks kind of shitty. That looks like a date, not a time. But they would essentially store this information one row at a time every time somebody clicks post. And that happens for all kinds of stuff. Members, photos, playlists, reviews. Each one of these is going to be a separate table, each with entirely different columns that pertain specifically to the thing we're trying to save. And I know that's a lot. I know that's a lot.
It makes sense now. Yeah, I was like, wait a second. I'm like not getting this right away. And then I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Well, good. I know it's a lot to take in. It was a lot for me. There are still days where I'm just like, oh my God. But yes, long story short, if there's a form somewhere on your application, it almost has to have either an accompanying table or it's going to go through some process or do something. Either it has a table or you have no interest in saving that interaction. Both of those are valid. But if the interaction needs to be saved, then you're going to have some table that's going to represent that interaction possibly for eternity. A persistence layer. We want that interaction to persist so we can track it, track our sales data, how many orders this past month, shit like that. But cool. So this was me logging into a server that I have deployed. So it's actually living out in the great cloud. And so it has an IP address and I can authenticate it with it. And I got to see my cool database. But that cool database started as a local database. And then when I was happy with it to some degree, I deployed it as a deployed database that now any of you could log into if you had the right credentials, or you hack me because I post all my shit online. Anyway, so what we want to do is we want to mock. Great, we have a database. So right click. Actually, we have a server. We don't have a database. So right click on databases and new database. Exciting. We're actually making a database now. And so let's just name it Dev 101 database, no spaces. Is there a space in there or am I just obsessive compulsive? Okay, very good. All right. Yeah, just hit OK. Boom. So now we got a database with no tables in it, and that's all right. So right click on that new database and go to property or view connection properties, bottom left. Oh, all right. So now I just have to figure out where we get the connection string. All right. So really, this would probably work for SQL Server authentication. So we'll definitely want to set up authentication. I'm trying to think here. Let's just do this at first. So yeah, cool. So we got a database. Let's see if we can actually tell Visual Studio that we want to connect our MVC app to this database. So go ahead and close that connection properties window. And you can close that one as well. All right, so we got our Dev 101. So let's open up Visual Studio and let's go to our MVC project. And then let's head down to the app settings.json. I think is going to be where we want to be. It'll be third from the bottom. The one above that. Yep, app settings.json. Yeah, double click app settings.json. Yep, right there. Give it the old double click. There we go. All right. Holy shit. All right. Looks like it already is looking to use SQL Express. So it already stuffed that in there, or that came with the project that we forked. Either way, I'm loving it. So what we want to do is we want to run a migration, and let's see if this will actually do this. It actually may shit out that database, which would be cool because its database name is auth system DB. We could also probably just put the name of our dev 101 DB where it says database equals auth system DB. So let's make sure it's one for one that it is exactly what you made the database name, but you type that there.
Looks right.
All right, excellent. So save that. And then we are going to go to, I think.
What is the save on this? Is it just Control S?
Yeah. And you've saved everything just by hitting that, so you're good. So now you can go up to debug, very top of the screen, even above that one. Yeah, good man. Right there. Click that for me. And then actually maybe it's in build. I don't know where this shit is. Go to tools. Maybe I'm an idiot. The top level tools. Package. Nope, it's not that either.
SQL Server?
Go to should be a search. Go up to the search. And I want you to type, God, what is that called? Give me 2 seconds. Why does my brain suck? Where do I type migrations in VS? Package Manager Console. Type package. Excellent. Click that bad boy. Click the package. There you go, right there. Give it a old click. There we go. Oh, I'm an idiot. It's there at the bottom. I was like, something should happen. All right, so this is a little hackery, we're going to be doing some typing in little consoles and stuff, but there's really only 2 main commands we need to know. So there's one where we want to create a migration file. So that's when we've created a new object that really needs to be reflected as a table in our database. And so we want to add a migration, and that command is add dash migration. But we're not going to do that right now. Sorry, I should have prefaced that one. But we already have 2 migrations in the migrations folder, and we want our database to have all the tables it's supposed to have before we get started on adding new ones. So we want to run the current migrations against our local database and make sure our database is in sync with the project. So this is going to be where we do that. Sink the bitches. That it might as well be that, but it's actually this really awesome command, update database. And I think the U and the D has to be capitalized, and they have to have a dash between them, I believe. So it's update dash database.
Wait, date?
Data, as in like the dude from Star Trek.
Data database?
Update. So like we're getting the latest updates. So
update.
Update with a capital U.
Okay.
Dash. So and then database. Yep. And hit enter. And I'm probably wrong about this too. Nope. Holy shit. I actually got one from memory. I know, kitty. You're okay. It's thinking. It's probably got to unpack all kinds of other shit. So if this works, what it's doing is it's looking at those two migration files, and we'll take a look at them in a minute. But essentially, they're just instructions on building tables. And it's saying, okay, I need one of these tables, and I need one of these tables, and yep, and it's kicking out this, running all that shit right now. That's a pretty good sign. And it says done. So basically, what it did is it ran those two migrations that we got on the side, and it created the tables we need for our login to actually function like a login. So first thing we want to do is verify that the tables actually made it. Now, considering it said done, I don't think I've ever seen it say done and they didn't make it, but you know, what the hell. So let's go to SSMS. Yep, good man. And then we're going to click the little arrow next to that. Yep, open up tables. It's all right. It's going to yell at you a little. Just hit no. And then,
tables.
yes, sir. Boom. We actually have tables. Look at that shit. Now, don't worry about these tables. We will look at them in more depth later when we want to do things like roles. These types of users should have access to these types of screens and these types of actions on those screens, and shit like that. Potentially logs. These users made these changes on these forms at this time. But for now, it's safe to say that those tables generated and that we have actually pointed at the correct database. Both very good things. Next, we should actually open the application and try to register as a user, and then see if we can log back in using that registration. So, yep, go back to Visual Studio. Go ahead and launch that beautiful bean footage. Excellent. So go to the Register tab and go ahead and fill out your new registration for your account on the Dev 101. Hey. That must be what this feels like, but I'm trying to make
matter? None of this matters.
So we'll see that information stored in the database shortly, but besides that, no. And if you want to be able to log back in later as a test user using this stuff, then I would make it something you can remember. But keep in mind that we can just create a new one, you know. So if you got a couple extras that you're like, I don't remember the password to that, who gives a shit? We can make a new one. It's no big deal. But if you were being serious about it and wanted to make sure you could log back into that so you can use it for testing purposes and all that, then yeah, that part of it is worthwhile. So register.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Passwords. Okay, fine. Wait, one non-alphanumeric character? Okay, got it.
that's what I like about this forking this project, because it just comes with all the standard stuff you would expect in a registration. You know, we do want to at least have some reasonable passwords and shit like that.
It is cool as long as you know that it's gonna have that. Wait, what? Non.
So maybe
Whoa,
there's.
oh, okay, I have to have a special thing. Okay. Got it. Okay.
I was like, oh shit, there's a problem already. That's broken.
Fucking assholes. All right.
Yeah, don't try to register on our site. And we can, of course, change all of that. There are some settings we can go in there and configure some of this stuff, but it is a good policy to have. Yep. Boom. So you are registered. So just hit OK and cancel.
Yes, I know it was a shitty
Or
Never.
save,
No.
save
Okay.
if you want. Yeah, it's all good. So now what I want you to do is log out and then log in with those credentials. You got a freaking login form, son. Look at that.
Nice.
Look at that beautiful bean footage. So yeah, that is completing the second task. So really what I would do is you're going to check in the changes that you've made to the connection string. So
Just Control S here.
yep, Control S, and then we are going to go to Get Changes on the bottom right of this screen. And excellent. So, yeah, let's just configure your username and email. So, yeah, go ahead and do that. Let's get you logged in here.
All right. This is supposed to be my GitHub stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me 1 second because I don't remember what. I think my username should just be my email also on there, right? Maybe. I don't know. Let me double check on my other computer real quick because
Yeah.
I'm not 1,000% sure. Actually, I may have had GitHub pulled up. Wait, let me see. Where is my account? No, this was not signed in. Okay. But everything is here. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Probably this, I assume. Wait, I don't trust it. Because I don't remember if I signed in on this when we did this, because it just has me as like person one not signed. But no, that's not that. Well, let's do this. I'm trying to
I think
remember how to get to the
I think you were right. Click your little robot icon top right of the page.
top right.
Yep.
Wait. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
That should be it.
Again, layout is messing with me a little bit.
Hey, it's all good.
All right. Let's save.
All right. And let's so we should put more than this as a message. So basically it looks like we're checking all the bin and stuff into, which is all right now. We'll look at some of that stuff, but yeah, I would put database configured. Yeah, that's fine. And then commit all. And then push it. So you see the button top right arrow facing up. Is it gonna push? All right, go ahead and sign in with your browser.
It's so bright. Terrible.
And authorize Git ecosystem.
I really need to change this so it's not so white.
Oh yeah.
It's killing me. And it's back in Edge. I also need to fix that.
Yeah, we need to set your default browser to Chrome. Minimize this for now. And I want to see successfully pushed. All right. So excellent. So you made that change and you pushed the change. So now go back to your Trello. And close out of this. And move that from doing to QA. All right. So and you've added the project source control. So put your name on that and put it to QA as well. You're just on a roll. And then basically at this point, anybody should be able to clone the project, run that update database, pointing at a local database, and you will actually have all the same functionality that Nebels has here. Now I know that's going to take easier said than done, and we're going to need to have some one-on-one sessions and stuff like that to get us all through that, and that's perfectly fine. But what I want everyone to go ahead and do is accept one of the tasks that is currently in the to-do pile. I don't care which one. It can be any. Go ahead and scroll on the to-do pile a little bit, Needles. Just scroll down that a little bit. There's more. Keep. You got a scroll wheel on your mouse?
I do. It's not scrolling.
Really? Wow. Did we already did so much that I'm out? Okay, that's all right. Still, everybody put their name on one. So Nebels, go ahead and grab one of those, doesn't matter which, whatever one you're feeling, and then throw it in doing, and then everybody else do the same. Grab one of those tasks, throw your name on it, throw it in doing.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah.
I just gotta ask real quick, since I'm on Mac and I'm doing a huge workaround, like, do you want me to jump on this kind of thing? I think I finally figured out how to like actually run a local server that hosts a database with the Azure Studio and Docker. I've been working on that kind of back and forth while watching what you guys are doing, but I
Yeah.
want to jump on something if it's going to like mess people up that I'm on Mac doing it.
So it shouldn't mess them up. As long as, I mean, you're checking in the source control and your code works, then it shouldn't mess them up at all. It's just going to be different for you. When you go to follow some of these same steps, you'll have to do whatever the Mac equivalent and Azure Studio equivalent of that is, but it should be the exact same stuff. You'll have to have some sort of database. That database will have a connection string. You'll point at that connection string in Visual Studio and you'll update database, and it should just kick out these tables to your either local or deployed database, and then you can start trucking. So yeah, if that being said, if your head's down on your blackjack game and you'd rather focus on that, you're more than welcome to do that as well. But yeah, it won't be it'll be great if you hop on this. You're more than welcome.
I
Cool.
will probably hop on like bits of it and stuff too, but I'll probably be working on my website like a heck of a lot more. But I did have another question considering that if I do pick like to-dos on here, I did the create team members view. Can it be something that I just put both Gare and I on it and we just work on those things together?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm like, we're literally same living vicinity and we'll just probably work on them together.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, cool.
And yep, and then once you get it assigned to yourself, go ahead and slap it in progress. And so we'll make sure that we are doing, doing. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. I guess there is only 4 of us in here tonight. So yeah, that's all right. We'll leave the rest for everybody else. And then backlog, feel free to add cards to this if you want, but this is like where all of our ideas go. If we got an idea of a feature we want to add, such as I got in there, possibly some paid options and some additional features and stuff like that, feel free to make a new card. Just hit the little add a card button down there. And if you got some ideas of what you think would be cool to have on the Dev 101 site, considering this is probably going to be something we all have on our resumes and point at, and recruiters will
Okay.
look at and will use as a tool for recruitment. So if you have any ideas, add them as cards, and we'll check them out.
I might actually change ours to the redesign homepage because I like the design aspect of stuff so much.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. That'd be great. So, yeah, basically, we do have 20 minutes left in the class, but I think we have done probably a decent amount tonight. Um, does anybody have any questions over kind of the flow of how things are going to be going forward, or anything we discussed tonight?
I might need to just meet with you about figuring out how to do some of this stuff on my own website, just so I can get a little bit more knowledge on it. Because I kind of got the gist of what the SQL and all that, like what it's about, but still just navigating some of it and being able to like set up our own like user login and everything like that for my own is just. I still have some little bit of lost on it sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, definitely the video I'll be posting will have all this in it, and we can do a one-on-one as well. But yeah, it all starts with forking that identity project, and then you basically have login and registration. And if you've already created a site, that's no big deal. You just kind of recreate those pages in your forked copy of this, and then just copy and paste the stuff over, or migrate the files, either way. Um,
Okay.
so you can still migrate your project over to the new forked project, and you should have login and registration plus all the stuff you've already been working on. So,
Okay. Yeah, today I'm still kind of like droning on them because of the freaking the sinus infection is just making my head like I have the head high kind of going because it's like things are almost going in one ear and out the other right now.
hey, I know how that is. I know how that
Yeah.
is. It's all good. It's all good. Well, I feel like today went well. I mean, considering we now have the project in source control, we actually got our first 3 tasks done in a single class. That's kind of phenomenal. I know the retention is still going to be harder, but it's going to get easier as people are doing it themselves. And we picked on Neville's this class. He was the one that had to kind of take the wheel. So next class, it's got to be somebody else. I'll ask for volunteers, and if we don't get any volunteers, then I'll roll down the list and we'll do some voluntolds. But one way or another going forward, we will just work through tasks as a group until we start seeing our projects come to life. And yeah, every other project on here could benefit from that cloning or forking of that identity project. So just keep that in mind. Trying to think, was that in Study Like a Pirate? I think it was. Um, I think it's also in one of the other classes, but yeah, Study Like a Pirate. I'm gonna steal this and just throw it in the chat here, just to make sure we have access to that again. But you fork that project, and you have the ability to create users. You have your initial migration, so you can just do an update database, kind of see it build the tables. If you see it build the tables, then you know you're connected to your database, and you can start trucking from there, making new views, new tables, whatever your heart desires, or whatever has landed on your desk. Um, but yeah, that I definitely understand that it's going to take some time for you guys to get used to that, but one by one, you guys will be forced to do it in front of others. So I promise you will get you will get better at it. So if nobody has anything else, I know we're 15 minutes early, but we'll probably call it a class. That was excellent work.
Word. Rob, can I bug you for some basic default settings after class?
Yeah, for sure. Just stay
Okay,
on.
cool.
Good job, Nebels. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah. Great work.
Yeah, good job, guys. Sorry I didn't participate. I was late to class.
Oh, it's all good, man. It's all good. So, just for a recap, we're recording these now. We actually got a recording going right now. I don't know how good it is. It may suck ass, but I'm gonna try my best to make them okay, and then I'll make sure they're on YouTube in a playlist so we can reference them going forward. And we've basically decided that the Dev 101 project is going to be sort of the number one priority as a class. We of course have our other projects we're doing asynchronously, but that's going to be kind of our main deal. And we set up a Trello, and we already got people doing some tasks. So if you want to pick out one of these two tasks and assign yourself to it, we'll be going through the tasks in class, just like these 3 that Nebels knocked out for us today. So, yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much it. There's sessions going forward are going to be these paired programming sessions and grooming sessions if we need tasks, and everything is no longer time based. It is task based, so no worries. It's all gravy.
Well, that's what's up, man. I will go on there and pick something out. Hopefully,
Cool.
something I can do.
Yeah, dude, I know they're all going to look tough right now, but just go ahead and slap your name on something. That team members view, I tried to make good descriptions on them, but that team members view should just be, some sort of page that's got maybe a picture of all of us and our names under it, maybe like our titles or aspirations. I don't know. We'll come up with some cool stuff, and we'll make a cool view for it. And then the testimonials view is just one I thought up of, that maybe if some of you guys wanted to write up a thing like, hey, this class saved my life or whatever, we could have a testimonial section. And I don't expect that one to be very difficult either. Just a place to show off some comments on how the class did, good, bad, or otherwise. So yeah, either one of those I think would be viable, man.
Okay, cool.
Then I need to add some new ones because we've already chewed through a big old chunk of them, and I imagine we'll keep doing the same until we got this thing whipped into shape. But yeah, I will let you guys know when I got the video uploaded to YouTube's, and so we can check those out for reference. And then yeah, in the meantime, if you guys need any one-on-ones, just hit me up and we'll get it figured out.
Appreciate it, man. Hope everyone has a good night.
Word, y'all have
All
a
right.
good week.
All right, guys. Later.
Later.
Take care, guys.
All right,
Rob.
Neebs.
What the hell?
What? Talk to me.
All right, I can click on make default, and then it goes here.
So click web browser, the Microsoft Edge,
Okay,
and then
click
click
on that.
Google
Okay.
Chrome.
All right. I was like, I was like, how do I change it? I was trying to right click it.
It's all good.
Know.
So now, I'm thinking about something that would open a web page. Maybe click a
I
link in
guess now I can
Discord.
go back here, right, where I tried to push before.
Nah, I would just click a link in Discord.
Okay, pushing main started. Okay.
You clicked push, but you had nothing to push. It's all good. So go to Discord on your taskbar, and then go to like the class chat. If you scroll down, and then click anything there. It opens in Chrome.
Okay, cool.
Boom.
Cool.
So that should be your default. And then you said Chrome was too white.
Yes.
All right.
Terribly white.
Click on the 3 dots, top right corner. Go to settings. Bottom. Yep.
There we go.
And then we are looking for accessibility, I think.
Appearance, maybe.
Maybe appearance.
Um,
Go
no,
to
maybe accessibility.
Custom preferences, maybe.
Custom preferences.
It's in accessibility.
Oh,
Up one, down one. There you go.
oh, caption preferences.
Oh, okay. I thought it said custom preferences. All right, let's just Google it. Let me see what's going on here. Set phone dark mode. Bottom right, new
There
tab
you go.
page.
Inverted.
Boom.
Wait, I did this. I did inverted,
Oh,
but
that's
that
in.
may not be what I want.
Nah, that's Windows. Yeah, Windows invert is kind of crazy. I would go to Chrome. So get out of this. You're just trying to dark mode your Chrome, right? Not your
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
computer. All right. So go to Appearance and then Theme
Web store.
and then Dark or one of these. Yeah. More fun,
Sure.
dark.
Why not?
Add to Chrome. And then, yeah, there you go.
Okay. Everything's still very white, but that's okay. It's better. Better than it was.
So if the page has a white background, then it's going to
Yeah,
be
it's still
white.
gonna be white. Yeah.
Um,
Disappointing. I guess I could always invert colors if I really want to.
yeah, it just looks terrible, I think. And there may be some better like dark mode type shit that I'm just not hip to, but um,
Yeah, I was just worried whenever I did that last push, like it got hung um in Edge forever, and I never like actually authenticated, but I guess it's fine.
yeah, dude, everything I was seeing looks good. You kicked out that database, you pushed updates to the Dev 101 project 18 minutes ago. So yeah, man, it looks like a winner.
Well, weird. All right, I feel like I have a little bit to go off of now. Still a lot of this stuff seems insane. I guess I can just close this, right? Or do I need to save anything here?
Nope, just close it, man.
So because I did all of that in GitHub and I pushed everything, then the database is kind of saved, or does it just auto save in SQL?
So you have a local copy of the database that you generated from some scripts that you just pushed to source control, which I know is confusing as hell. But you remember those migration files?
Yeah.
Go ahead and go to Solution Explorer on the bottom right-hand corner of Visual Studio, and then open up that migrations folder. Yep. And then click on Initial Create. And so, like, this is saying, hey, build a table called ASP.NET roles, build another with these columns in it, and build another table with called ASP.NET users with these columns in it. And so, like, this script, when ran, will generate what is in your database right now, all the tables that just got created. And when somebody else clones this project and they run that update database command, it'll run these same scripts and they'll have essentially an identical copy to the database you currently have locally on your machine. The only difference is you created a user. So now, because you registered, so now your database will have a row in it for your user and any other accompanying rows and tables, and they won't have that. If you went to their computer and tried to log in, it would say, I don't know who Nebels is, but besides that, you essentially have a copy of what they are going to have when they run those scripts on their computer pointing at their local database.
So now anytime I make a database, I'll always connect to this until we have a different server.
Yes, until we have a published server somewhere, then you will connect to it. And assuming I run all the migration scripts that we have at the time, it will just have all the tables that you're used to having. And then you probably won't have to run migrations anymore. We'll just run them at the database one at a time, and everyone will have access to them.
Okay, and now if I go into databases and I go into the Dev 101, now I can see things in the tables.
Yeah. So go to the second from the bottom table, ASP.NET users. Yep. And right click on that. Right click on that. Oh, yep. And select top 1,000 rows. And I bet we got one in there.
Oh yeah, Rob's guinea pig.
Boom. And so when it saves the password, it does what's called hashing. And so you don't actually get the like raw text password, but long story short, there's some cryptography that happens when somebody types something in and it runs a hash against it. And if it ends up matching what that is, then it lets them in. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. And so there's some additional like security stuff there, but basically that is the row that represents your user that you created when you registered on the site.
Okay. So just getting familiar with where all this shit lives will be a little weird, but that's fine.
And